You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for joining us this Monday. I'm Ann Makovic. Here is a look at some of our news headlines this morning. 6 people are dead and a driver facing DUI charges following a crash in Napa County. The CHP says that a minivan hit a tree last night after it veered off Pope Valley Road. The driver survived along with another passenger, but emergency crews had to fly those two to trauma centers by helicopter. No word yet on the names or ages of the victims. Hundreds of Kaiser hospital workers are on a one-day strike in Oakland. Kaiser says medical offices remain open, but they might end up postponing some appointments and surgeries today. Both sides have been negotiating a new contract for more than a year and a half now. At issue, the union says, is staffing shortages, and that's causing burnout.
As nurse anesthetists, we are watching over patients at their absolute most vulnerable period of their life, and stable anesthesia staffing is what keeps patients the safest. When you have turnover, when providers are burnt out or overworked, then patients aren't as safe.
In a statement, Kaiser calls the strike disappointing and adds, we will continue to bargain in good faith to reach an agreement that is good for our employees and allows us to continue providing high-quality care that is affordable for our members and patients. President Trump is escalating his threats against Chicago to send in the National Guard. He posted this over the weekend, saying Chicago is about to find out why it's called the Department of War. That is the new name that he gave to the Department of Defense. The president has not given a timeline and has since downplayed the post, saying that he just wants to clean up the city. Illinois' governor said the president is threatening to go to war with an American city and that Illinois won't be intimidated by a wannabe dictator. A new CBS News poll reveals that 57% of Americans oppose Trump deploying the National Guard to D.C. and other cities, and 61% of Americans oppose Trump sending the National Guard to their local area. Today at the state capitol, flags flying at half-staff to honor California political powerhouse John Burton. The former congressman and state Senate president died yesterday in San Francisco at 92. Known for his fire and fierce fight for the poor, Burton shaped decades of progressive politics. Governor Gavin Newsom called him a legendary powerhouse. Newsom will induct Burton into the California Hall of Fame this December. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee said Burton's legacy lives on in every progressive victory achieved in California and that his heart was always in the right place, standing up for people who needed someone to fight for them. Starting today, new HOV hours are in effect for Marin and Sonoma counties on Highway 101. Those lanes now run from 5 to 10 a.m. and 3 to 7 p.m. weekdays only. That is a longer window than before. So do you give yourself extra time if you are traveling on 101 in the North Bay? One last HOV lane is set to open later this month. Over the weekend, Caltrans crews swapped out the carpool lane signs on a 52-mile stretch of 101. All right, beginning a new work week and school week, let's take a check on our first alert forecast with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
We're kicking off this week's forecast with nice cool weather throughout the bay, putting us a little bit below average this afternoon in places like Antioch at 80 degrees. We have 70s up into wine country today from Santa Rosa down into Novato. Low 70s in the forecast from Vallejo all the way over into Oakland. And then you pass the Bay Bridge over into San Francisco, sitting at 73 degrees today. Pretty nice. Partly cloudy skies, mild conditions. Along 101, we're holding on tight to 70s into Redwood City, 80s down into the Santa Clara Valley. And today is actually one of the warmest days this week. We're actually going to cool down as we head into the next couple days as this area of low pressure parked just offshore, you're going to notice it in a second, continues to rotate its way all throughout Northern California. Now, what it's doing, it's going to bring in some cooler, cloudier, and wet skies for our friends up in Northern California, closer to Crescent City and Eureka. We could get some leftover showers, though, here in the Bay as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday forecast. So don't be shocked if you need to use the windshield wipers for a little bit, or if you have a passing rain cloud throughout your local community. That's actually the trend for all of us throughout the next couple days. It starts to taper off as we head into our Wednesday forecast. Now let's take it a step back to today, because we're starting off this morning with nice light winds. It gets a little bit breezier into the afternoon, but not by much. Surface level winds at max will top off around 20 to 25 miles per hour here locally, and that's as strong as it's going to get as we head into the next couple days. Check this out, though. Another thing to talk about, we kicked off this week with nice cool weather, but we're still going to hold on tight to it as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday forecast. Once that area of low pressure that you now know what I'm talking about kind of moves itself to the east, We're going to start warming up as high pressure builds in, and that jumps us only into the 80s. Now you make your way over into the Bay. Well, we're holding on tight to 70s for most of this week. It'll get a little bit warmer as we head into early next week by Sunday.
Transit advocates and local leaders calling on Governor Newsom to fulfill his promise to loan millions of dollars to transit agencies. Those advocates brought signs like "Save My Bus" and "Fund Public Transit" to San Francisco Civic Center this morning. The governor had promised BART, Muni, and other agencies $750 million in emergency funding to prevent dramatic cuts to public transportation. Mayor Daniel Lurie says the loan is important to keep trains and buses running and ensure that people have access to affordable and safe ways to get around.
Every working family, senior, student, and business leader knows that public transit is key to our comeback.
In a statement, Governor Newsom's office responded saying, "We are working closely with all stakeholders on the parameters of a funding deal. Our shared goal is to agree on the terms of a deal by this fall." As Dahlin reports, until there's proof of a loan, transport agencies are scrambling to figure out other ways to keep running.
This IT professional lives in San Francisco and works in Menlo Park. 5 days a week, Miriam Clark takes Muni, BART, and Caltrain just to get to work.
If they reduce service any more than they have already or adjusted it, it would be even harder for me to, get to my destination on time.
Friday morning's system-wide BART shutdown reminded her how disruptive permanent cuts would be. She left the BART station that morning and worked from home, but that's not usually an option for her job.
And if there's cuts to public transportation, that's going to mean I'm back in my car, and I don't think they want that.
Miriam does have a car, but says she only uses it as a last resort. Local lawmakers want to make sure riders like her keep supporting public transit. That's why they're pressing Governor Newsom to follow through on a promise they say he made months ago, a $750 million loan to help agencies bridge a budget shortfall in 2026. But instead of providing the loan now, the Department of Finance says, let's talk about it next year.
And that's a problem because these agencies have to make plans now about whether to cut service next year. If they don't have certainty the money's coming, they're going to have to start reducing service. State
Senator Scott Wiener represents San Francisco. He says if they want the loan this year, they have until Tuesday to introduce it. That's the deadline. He and other leaders are urging the governor to keep his promise.
Ultimately, if nothing happens whatsoever, including the ballot measure, BART will basically collapse. And Muni has said they may have to cut service as much as 50%, one half.
The idea is the bridge loan would get agencies through 2026 until voters decide on a regional transportation measure in November 2026 that could fund transit starting in 2027.
If we're now taking hundreds of thousands of people off of transit and then dumping them into the freeway, 80 is going to be a parking lot. 580 is going to be a parking lot. It's going to be a mess all over the place. And the easiest thing to do is just for the governor to fulfill his promise of providing that emergency loan.
Marion hopes all sides can resolve this so public transit remains reliable.
It's going to be painful for a while. I mean, there's going to be chaos and pain. But then at some point, clearer minds will prevail.
Local transit agencies say they need the state's help. SFMTA, for example, says even after making deep internal cuts, the projected deficit for the next fiscal year is still roughly $300 million.
Well, this all comes on the heels of that BART meltdown on Friday, and now we're getting new details on exactly what happened. BART says that around 3:15 a.m., they lost connection to multiple devices and systems as they were trying to upgrade their network at the Montgomery station, and that caused the entire system to shut down for several hours. Engineers were able to isolate their issue to their San Francisco and Peninsula lines, and then full service was restored before noon. This was the second BART shutdown in just 4 months. In a statement, BART's deputy general manager said, quote, "Further review is ongoing to determine what triggered the unusual network traffic. Staff is investigating whether hardware is a possible root cause." Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, a deadly weekend across the East Bay, leaving 4 dead and multiple injured. We're now hearing the 911 dispatch calls after bullets started flying outside a banquet hall. Plus, we're going to hear from the family that owns this South Bay jewelry store after thieves smashed through the front and grabbed everything they could.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Nice, cool weather. That's how we're kicking off this week's forecast with upper 70s in places like our inland areas. We could see some low 80s in places like San Jose today, but for the most part, temperatures continue to stay nice and cool throughout the beginning portion of this week. As high pressure moves in, that warms us up into the 80s to wrap up the week, but that's right where we should be for this time of year. So good news across the board. We could also see some drizzly skies at times throughout the next couple days as an area of low pressure moves just to the north of us. For the most part, we're just getting the leftover clouds, and that'll be noticeable all week long here along the bay.
In Oakland, police are investigating a string of shootings over the weekend. 2 people were killed and at least 4 others were hurt. These shootings were all within the span of about 2 hours early Saturday morning. 3 shootings in the city's uptown area on Broadway, 19th Street, and Martin Luther King Jr. Way. The other was on San Pablo Avenue. City leaders say while crime rates are down, this type of violence shows that more needs to be done.
We have to make sure that people are safe, feel safe, and continue with our crime-fighting efforts. And so we have to do that. We don't sweep our difficulties and challenges under the rug.
Investigators have not determined if the shootings are in any way connected to First Friday celebrations that were held hours before. So far, there have been no arrests. In Fremont, police are searching for a shooter and a motive after 2 people were killed in a drive-by shooting over the weekend. This happened in front of the Royal Palace Banquet Hall on Stevenson Boulevard late Friday night. As Don Lynn reports, this is not the first time violence has broken out at that location.
A large celebration turned deadly outside the banquet hall. Guests looked to be in disbelief, saddened by the tragedy.
RP advised it was a drive-by 1071. First therapy heard multiple reports, and we can hear people screaming.
The Fremont Police Union released this exchange between a 911 dispatcher and responding officers.
About 100 people still inside the building, negative injuries inside.
Neighboring businesses tell me they heard it was a wedding reception, but we have not been able to confirm that. People who work in the plaza say the parking lot was packed with guests.
Very shocking, very hard to hear. The most shocking part to me is that it's right outside the place that I come every day.
Carlo Figueroa is a swimming instructor at the Hippo Swim Club, just a few doors down from the banquet hall. The plaza also has several Asian restaurants, a medical office, and a salon.
It's crazy to me. You know, this area has always been very safe, a lot of nice people around here.
Carlo left work around 9 o'clock on Friday night. Police say the drive-by shooting happened just after 11 when some guests were standing outside. Investigators say someone pulled into the parking lot, opened fire, and then drove off. 1 person died at the scene. A second person died at the hospital.
Definitely terrible, shocking news. I never expected this will happen here. So Fremont, in general, has to be a quite safe place, right? Especially here. So never expect someone will just drive by and randomly kill. That's really, really terrible.
Police are reviewing surveillance video from the banquet hall and nearby businesses. They don't yet know the motive or if the victims were the intended targets. The banquet hall owner, Jamal Sadiq, declined to comment.
I'm just trying to find out a little more. Would you like to say a couple of things, or?
Back in 2017, a wedding at the same banquet hall with nearly 900 guests ended in multiple fights and injuries. Police said at the time about 70 people fought, and 1 man was beaten so badly he was left in a coma.
I really hope this will never happen again.
The latest shooting has nearby workers like Carlo on heightened alert.
I pray for the families of the victims. You know, it's a sad thing to hear, and I really hope that the victims can rest peacefully.
Police have not released the names of the victims, and it's still unclear how those victims may be connected to Friday night's events. So far, no arrests. Fremont police asking anyone with information to come forward.
Police say these shootings are the city's 3rd and 4th homicides this year. A business owner in San Jose is recovering after he was assaulted during a smash and grab robbery. You can see in this security video, more than a dozen thieves ran into Kim Hung Jewelry Friday after ramming a car through the front window of the store. Our Amanda Harry spoke with the owner's niece, who's calling for change.
Video captures the moment a Jeep rammed into the front of Kim Hung Jewelry in San Jose. Right after the impact, 3 other cars pull up and about a dozen people get out and run inside.
My heart is pounding. Mad, angry, worried.
That's how the owner's niece felt when she watched back the video. It happened around 2 in the afternoon on Friday. From another angle, you can see her uncle packing up jewelry when the crash happens. Then, the thieves fill the store. One man even pushes the owner.
Slam him down to the floor.
He's 88 years old. He stays on the ground while the thieves rifle through the jewelry cases, then quickly run away. His niece, who did not feel comfortable sharing her name, was at the store minutes after the incident. She says her uncle was bleeding, but seemed okay other than the cuts and bruises. While they were working with police to file the report, she became more concerned.
He started talking to me, just only one sentence. Oh, we ready to go home? We ready to go home? We ready to go home? But when I asked him something, he looked at me, but it's not looking. He kind of confused.
She says he couldn't answer any questions, so they called an ambulance to take him to the hospital. Doctors confirmed he had a stroke.
You are very lucky. You bring him to the hospital on time. Otherwise, it will be dead.
He was released from the hospital and is recovering at home. Sunday afternoon, about a dozen community activists were outside of his business calling for change, including the founder of the Coalition for Community Engagement, Edward Escobar.
Small businesses cannot withstand these types of attacks.
Escobar believes crimes against small businesses are all too common, and many are never documented.
And what we're experiencing also is a lack of reporting of crime by business owners, especially small business owners. Why? Because their business insurance may be canceled.
The crimes are costly. The family is expecting the damage to Kim Hung Jewelry to cost the business more than $50,000. Most of the jewelry was already in the safe, but the front of the building was destroyed and is now boarded up. The owner has been in business for more than 40 years, but his niece thinks this may be the end of the road.
I don't think he's coming back. Absolutely no.
Well, according to a new report by finance company Smart Asset, San Jose was ranked as the nation's safest major city. The report looked at violent crime, drug overdoses, and property crime per capita. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area. Came down to the wire, but with the Niners starting off the season, it was a win in Seattle. They're going to hear from the game's unlikely hero.
As we head into the afternoon hours today, let's start off with a couple of things I want to show you. Our daytime highs this afternoon, we're gearing up for 80s in the forecast, all the way over into places like Los Gatos, down into places like the Santa Clara Valley, and off into the East Bay too. As we make our way over into San Francisco, we're holding on tight to 70s in the forecast, 70s up in the North Bay this afternoon. And as we head into the next couple of days, we'll continue to see on and off light showers in the forecast. Let's start off with this. Heading outside today and tomorrow, there's a chance you could see some light showers passing throughout our communities. That's going to linger into our Wednesday forecast before this area of low pressure that you see swirling just offshore starts to move off into the east. At that point, high pressure moves in and we'll warm up as we wrap up this week, heading into this weekend's forecast. But we're kicking it off nice and cool, a little bit cloudy, a little bit drizzly at times, especially as we head into our Tuesday forecast up into the North Coast, places like Pacifica, places like Stinson Beach, all the way up into places like Point Reyes could see a little bit more rain compared to maybe some of us down closer to Pacifica and Half Moon Bay. Now that area of low pressure continues to swirl its way in throughout our midweek forecast, and temperatures will dip a little bit cooler compared to where we're already at today throughout the next couple of days.
The 49ers starting off the season in the win column. They silenced the Seahawks yesterday after Nick Bosa recovered a fumble in the final minute. Matt Lively reports from Seattle, where the Niners won for the 4th straight time.
This is the Audi Red and Gold Report.
The 49ers are officially 1-0, stealing a game on the road and defeating the Seahawks 17-13 in a game that went right down to the wire. The unlikely hero in this game was backup tight end Jake Tonjes, who entered today with 0 career receptions, but ultimately his touchdown snag in the fourth quarter gave the Niners the go-ahead lead, and they didn't relinquish it.
I went up, I caught it, looked down at my feet, make sure I was in bounds, and kind of looked around for some flags, and it was silent, because we're on the road. I think Russell Gage, someone was like, you scored, and didn't believe it, and then I was, spiked the ball, go celebrate with all my guys.
I seen him sky up for the ball. It was literally like slow motion, like a movie. And then it was everybody had that delayed reaction when he caught it, because it was just like, can't believe he caught that. In my mind, I'm thinking the ball's getting thrown away.
Were you definitely throwing that for Jake all along? Wasn't throwing away or anything like that?
Yeah. No, I knew Tonjes was going to come down to it.
For the Red and Gold Report, I'm Matt Lively.
Across the Bay Area, fans gathered around their TVs to watch the 49ers take on the Seahawks in their season openers. But as our John Ramos shows us, there is one restaurant in Redwood City that has a history with the red and gold.
You're walking into a museum that is actually functional as a restaurant.
When owner Tim Harrison talks about the Canyon Inn in Redwood City, the restaurant seems to take a back seat to the memorabilia on the walls.
It's just accumulated, and I've just started putting pictures up on the wall.
The room is covered with photographs tracing the journey from 1981 when, as a new business owner, he made the team an offer if they would attend a promotional event in his parking lot.
Every week, when you guys win, the players, staff, everybody can come and eat for free all week long. What do I got to lose? They only won 10 games in 3 years. Take a chance.
It ended up being a bad beat as Joe Montana and the Niners won 16 games on the way to their first Super Bowl championship. His deal cost Harrison a lot of money that year and was even mentioned in Time magazine. But along the way, he gained some really good friends, like Bob Aarons, who remembers what it was like before the team was winning.
Well, for a long time of the drought and everything, you had to be a die-hard fan. Once we won the first Super Bowl, and then we got a lot of confidence. If Joe was back there, we always thought we were going to win.
On the first game of the regular season, everyone expects to win. Isaac Leone showed up for a kid's birthday party, but kept one eye on the game.
I'm looking to the Super Bowl every time. Every year we start off, it don't matter about the first 3, 4, or 5 games. It's about the end of the season.
And Mercedes Hausler seemed more worried about the outcome of her Domino's game than the one being played on the screen. So you're pretty competitive?
Yeah, when it comes to this, yes. But for that, it's like, I'm happy when they win, of course. But you can't always win, so.
I used to always joke around with my friends, when the Niners go to the Super Bowl, they win it, unless it's been in the last 10 years.
Win or lose, for Michael Solomon, the open of the new season just feels more special in a place he's been coming to for more than 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, the build up to this is like 3 months before, right? So getting here to opening day, it is just like nostalgic as can be. And there's no place I'd rather be than at the game, but if I can't be at the game, Canyon Inn is a close second.
From playing in the Super Bowl to last place in their division, the past 2 seasons have been a roller coaster ride for 49er fans. But now it's a new beginning in a place that celebrates the glory of the past.
Next up for the Niners, they're going to take on the New Orleans Saints this Sunday, kickoff at 10 a.m. Coming up in our next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area. It can be especially tough for teachers to afford the high cost of housing in the Bay Area. How one city is marking a milestone to keep educators rooted right here.
The first parade of its kind rolls into KPIX Plus September 20th. From the smooth rides of the 40s to the flash and chrome of the 80s, watch custom lowriders bounce, hop, and roll with style. Award-winning Chevys, classic Fords, and pure automotive artistry. Join Sarah Donchi and myself for King of the Streets Parade, Saturday, September 20th at 1 p.m. Only on KPIX Plus and CBS News Bay Area.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for being with us this Monday. I'm Ann Makovic, and here's another look at some of our news headlines. 6 people are dead and a driver facing DUI charges after a crash in Napa County. The CHP says a minivan hit a tree last night after it veered off Pope Valley Road. The driver survived along with another passenger, but emergency crews had to fly those two to trauma centers by helicopter. No word yet on the names or ages of the victims. Hundreds of Kaiser hospital workers on a one-day strike in Oakland. Both sides have been negotiating a new contract for more than a year and a half now. At issue, the union says, is staffing shortages that's causing burnout. Kaiser says medical offices remain open today, but they might postpone some appointments and surgeries. Hospital officials called the strike disappointing and said they will continue bargaining in good faith. And starting today, new HOV hours in effect for Marin and Sonoma counties on Highway 101. Those lanes now run from 5 to 10 a.m. and 3 to 7 p.m. weekdays only. That is a longer window than before. So might want to give yourself extra time there. The last HOV lane is set to open later this month. Over the weekend, Caltrans crews swapped out the carpool lane signs on a 52-mile stretch of 101. All right, we are kicking off a brand new work week. Let's get another check on our first alert forecast with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
We're kicking off this week's forecast with nice cool weather throughout the bay, putting us a little bit below average this afternoon in places like Antioch at 80 degrees. We have 70s up into wine country today from Santa Rosa down into Novato. Low 70s in the forecast from Vallejo all the way over into Oakland. And then you pass the Bay Bridge over into San Francisco, sitting at 73 degrees today. Pretty nice. Partly cloudy skies, mild conditions. Along 101, we're holding on tight to 70s into Redwood City, 80s down into the Santa Clara Valley. And today's actually one of the warmest days this week. We're actually going to cool down as we head into the next couple days as this area of low pressure parked just offshore, you're going to notice it in a second, continues to rotate its way all throughout Northern California. Now, what it's doing, it's going to bring in some cooler, cloudier, and wet skies for our friends up in Northern California, closer to Crescent City and Eureka. We could get some leftover showers, though, here in the Bay as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday forecast. So don't be shocked if you need to use the windshield wipers for a little bit, or if you have a passing rain cloud throughout your local community. That's actually the trend for all of us throughout the next couple days. It starts to taper off as we head into our Wednesday forecast. Now let's take it a step back to today, because we're starting off this morning with nice light winds. It gets a little bit breezier into the afternoon, but not by much. Surface level winds at max will top off around 20 to 25 miles per hour here locally, and that's as strong as it's going to get as we head into the next couple days. Check this out, though. Another thing to talk about, we kicked off this week with nice cool weather, but we're still going to hold on tight to it as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday forecast. Once that area of low pressure that you now know what I'm talking about kind of moves itself to the east, we're going to start warming up as high pressure builds in, and that jumps us only into the 80s. Now you make your way over into the Bay. Well, we're holding on tight to 70s for most of this week. It'll get a little bit warmer as we head into early next week by Sunday.
Democrats in California ramping up their push for Prop 50 in the upcoming special election. If approved on November 4th, that measure could put Democrats in the majority in some Republican strongholds. The movement is headed by Governor Newsom. Here in the Bay Area, local union members are joining forces to campaign for the next 2 months.
We have to do something, because sitting and just playing by his rules, working people will lose every single time. So yes, we're fighting fire with fire, and we have to make sure that the playing field is leveled.
But some Republicans are not sold on the idea.
It's an absolute joke. They are absolutely out of touch with Californians. They couldn't care less about Californians. They care about their own personal and political agenda.
If Prop 50 passes, the new district boundaries would be in effect for the congressional elections in November of 2026. The price tag for the special election, about $230 million. CBS News California Investigates has been introducing you to the people who want to be our next governor. California correspondent Julie Watts is sitting down with 11 candidates who've thrown their hats into the ring so far.
A lot of people forget this. When he was running for San Francisco mayor, a Green Party candidate named Matt Gonzalez got 47% of the vote and almost sent Gavin packing.
Over the next week, we're going to bring you one question with one candidate, given early insight into who they are and why they want to be our next governor. Today, Julie introduces us to Butch Ware.
Butch Ware is the Green Party candidate running to replace California Governor Gavin Newsom when he terms out next year. He lives in Santa Barbara, where he's a professor at UC Santa Barbara. He was previously the Green Party nominee for vice president. He says he's running for governor to, quote, put politics in service of the people. We sat down with each candidate for an in-depth interview covering all of the issues that matter to you. But we began by asking each person what they think our current governor and legislature got right over the last couple of years and what they would have done differently if they were governor. That's one question with Butch Ware.
What we have seen, especially since Trump took office, is a massive escalation in masked men kidnapping people out of our communities, and we have seen our state authorities either enabling those extra legal abductions or standing idly by. So one of my biggest critiques of the Newsom administration has been that. If I were to add another one, it would be homeless sweeps and criminalizing poverty instead of resolving the issue. If I was going to add another one, where's the high-speed rail? Like, don't even get me started on.
What is one thing that you think that he's done right?
Boy, this is going to be tough. You might have to edit around this. He has at least made a semblance of trying to fight back. Now, I personally don't think that social media clapbacks are the way that we should be trying to resolve political issues, but I do think people want to see a fight. One thing that the legislature has gotten right, to be honest, it's not a long list. I think that the Democratic supermajority in the legislature has operated according to a kind of monopoly logic where they're not really pushed by competition. So there's not really a particularly stellar record over the last couple of years. You could argue that making an effort to push back on the gerrymandering has been a salutary step. But again, I think the method through which they're trying to push back is probably not the most effective. We have seen the wealth gap between the wealthiest Californians and the poorest Californians expand dramatically on Team Blue's watch with those supermajorities.
Well, this afternoon, Julie is going to moderate the California Governor's Forum hosted by Apapa and Sacramento State. You can watch that live starting at around 2:45 on the free CBS News app. One of the issues at the top of the list for some of the gubernatorial candidates is California's housing crisis. According to the State Department of Housing and Community Development, the majority of California renters spent more than 30% of their income on rent. In San Francisco, lawmakers are already making progress on new ways to ease costs for renters. City leaders recently celebrated a new affordable housing project built specifically for SF Unified School District teachers, employees, and their families. Kira St. Cyr tells us about the long-awaited development that's the first of its kind in the city.
Living in the city was always a dream for Jack Hobbs and his wife Victoria. But as a law student married to a teacher, finding affordable housing seemed impossible.
We were well over half our income was going into rent every month, and we only had a few $100s left over.
But this spring, an opportunity arose for educators like Jack's wife. A chance to live here at the Shirley Chisholm Village in the Outer Sunset.
This is the first time we've ever been the first tenants in a new unit, and so you know that the washer, dryer, garbage disposal, everything works. The lights flick on.
This 135-unit complex is the city's first ever educator housing development. Teachers and supporting staff in SFUSD get first dibs on 100% affordable rooms. But they had to be lucky enough to be chosen in a lottery system. The district says more than 1,200 people applied.
We put ourselves in the lottery right away.
Mayor Daniel Lurie spoke at the ribbon cutting, calling the build a milestone in the city's efforts to build more affordable housing.
This building stands as a symbol of a city that is welcoming working families.
Being more welcoming to working families is also important for the school district. San Francisco Unified has struggled with teacher shortages. A 2023 report from SFUSD showed that the starting salary for teachers was $50,000 a year, about 40% less than HUD's definition of low-income families in the region.
You guys love it. Thank you.
That's why Eric McAvoy, an SFUSD teacher, says this apartment means so much.
Everybody that I've talked to that's now here, I think really appreciates the space.
But for Jack, the affordable housing means finally getting to enjoy the city he loves.
It's a difference of a few $100s every month, but that few $100s means that I can get new things for my dog. I can go to a restaurant with my wife. I can, take a night in a hotel once a month and we can go somewhere. Like it frees us up to have a little bit it lets us live normally.
This housing project was 10 years in the making, built on a site previously used for district storage. While some affordable housing projects for educators stalled during the pandemic, a few are moving forward. The school district has a goal of creating 550 homes for teachers by the year 2030. Coming up next year on CBS News Bay Area, a local nonprofit helping kids get the skills they need to thrive in the working world. We're going to introduce you to a student hoping to pay it forward one day after she got a head start on success.
Nice, cool weather. That's how we're kicking off this week's forecast, with upper 70s in places like our inland areas. We could see some low 80s in places like San Jose today, but for the most part, temperatures continue to stay nice and cool throughout the beginning portion of this week. As high pressure moves in, that warms us up into the 80s to wrap up the week, but that's right where we should be for this time of year. So good news across the board. We could also see some drizzly skies at times throughout the next couple days as an area of low pressure moves just to the north of us. For the most part, we're just getting the leftover clouds, and that'll be noticeable all week long here along the bay.
New college graduates are entering one of the toughest markets for entry-level jobs in years. But Kara St. Cyr shows us how one San Francisco nonprofit is trying to give students a head start in high school to help them stand out from the crowd.
With just 2 days left in the Bay Area, Leslie is getting ready to start her new life.
I'm very excited.
A recent graduate of KIPP's San Francisco College Prep, she's headed to Boston University.
I don't know if they sell backpacks here, but I should get a backpack.
But she's going with experience few college freshmen have. 3 years worth of internships.
It's also helped me later connect with bigger experiences, like doing an internship with Bank of America and going to DC and talking to different representatives.
Leslie is a member of Enterprise for Youth, a local nonprofit that promises to pair students with mentors who can help them enter the workforce. Her internships covered fashion, networking, even gave her a slot in San Francisco supervisor Raphael Mandelman's office.
So we have 4 pillars of internships. Right?
Carlos Solis, the CEO of the organization, says today's students need a head start to survive an uncertain labor market.
And so it's like, all right, if you maybe need help with your writing or help with whatever, we can help you. If you just have some like personal stuff going on, we can help you. If you need transportation, right? So this is just all of the stuff, this kind of outer ring, I like to think of as the love and what we're doing to make sure that these young people are successful.
Leslie plans to major in political science and potentially study immigration law. For now, she's grateful for the opportunity to go away for school.
Yeah, all my friends, they're staying here in California just because it's like they're either not going to college or because of family obligations, they've decided to stay here.
And when the time is right, she plans to come back to San Francisco and use those same skills she learned at Enterprises for Youth.
In addition to placing students in internships, Enterprise for Youth also has workshops covering topics like interviewing, resume prep, and money management training. The latest jobs report showing some possible signs of trouble ahead for the U.S. economy. The Labor Department says in August, the U.S. added 22,000 jobs, much lower than the expected 75,000. At the same time, unemployment ticked up to 4.3%, the highest since 2021. In San Francisco, Salesforce now laying off more than 250 employees. That is according to a recent filing. That's going to happen in November and impact positions spanning tech, product, administration, and sales. Salesforce released a statement to us saying we continuously assess our structure and rebalance as needed to best serve our customers and fuel growth areas. The company has more than 76,000 employees globally. With several fields in particular being affected by layoffs, some people are making an effort to switch their focus into something a little more sweet. One former techie is seeing success with his up-and-coming chocolate company. Laureen Ayub has their story.
This is where chocolate as we know it begins, in a cocoa pod, a large fruit that looks kind of like a football. Todd, the co-founder of Dandelion Chocolate, did not imagine that this would be his line of work a few decades ago.
I had a career in the tech industry, and after I had finished that, I had some free time and started roasting up cocoa beans in a garage with some friends.
Here at Dandelion Chocolate's Mission District factory, Todd shows us how the magic happens, cracking and peeling each cocoa bean. From raw fruit to finished bar, it's a transformation that blends tradition and innovation. A fitting tribute to San Francisco's chocolate legacy.
I think that San Francisco has always been a chocolate city. You have Ghirardelli, you also have Guittard, you had Cho, you had Scharfenberger in the East Bay, which kicked off the whole new American chocolate movement. So we kind of view ourselves as continuing that tradition of companies that have been innovative and have gotten people excited about chocolate, and sort of now we're just kind of next in that progression.
Inside the factory, machines help scale the small batch process, a system Dandelion has refined since starting in 2010. But for Todd, he says it's not just about making chocolate. It's about sharing its flavor and the knowledge behind it with a global community.
I just love being able to share our chocolate with the world, certainly within San Francisco, but more recently last year I went to a farm in the Solomon Islands and got to explore the cacao scene and went to a small chocolate shop, and at the counter I discovered they had our book there that we had written, and they said this is how we have started our company, what they've learned from us sharing our knowledge. So it's been really great to be part of this bigger community.
Todd says the entrepreneurial spirit from his tech startup days helped bring Dandelion to this point, but the sweetness is incomparable.
No one ever said they loved my software, but everyone loves chocolate, so that makes us happy.
Because for Todd, great chocolate is just the start. What matters most is the community that gets to enjoy it.
Coming up here on CBS News Bay Area, more and more whales making a splash around the San Mateo County coast. What's drawing them so close to the shoreline? Well, people are heading to Pacifica to see a group of humpback whales recently spotted making their migration south along the coast. Max Darrow has more on how to get a glimpse of these majestic animals.
There it is, right there.
Oh, my goodness. For the best play-by-play of a phenomenon unfolding off the coast of Pacifica right now.
Oh, big splash again.
Look no further than Robin Brunn.
I do love it, as you can tell, yeah. And a lot of times you can see them slap their fins.
Simply put, she loves whales.
They're magnificent creatures, for sure.
And the humpback whale is the star of an offshore show on daily display in Brunn's backyard.
But the last 2 weeks have been spectacular.
That is drawing people to Pacifica from all over the place.
There's definitely, a number of us whale addicts out here. So we spend hours and hours, all day out here at times.
The whales are here to primarily feed on anchovies. It's a relatively new phenomenon.
We are seeing now whales using coastal habitats more often than they did 20, 15 years ago.
Jaime Janke is with the group Point Blue Conservation Science.
There's two things going on here. One is a shift in the distribution of the prey, the fish prey that they consume. And the second part of the story is the success story on the recovery of the humpback whale population along the west coast of the U.S.
Janke says the whales are staying for longer, too. His group has documented whales off the coast during the winter in recent years. And with that...
And we need to do as much as we can to minimize the threats from vessel strikes and from entanglements.
It's a whale right there. You can see its back. You see the blow and its back.
Aside from the show itself, Robin loves sharing her enthusiasm with others.
I'd say it's just kind of pure joy, really, to see them. Well, there's a whale down there.
She created the Facebook group Pacifica Whale Spotting a few years ago so people could take in the beauty together. And there are now 36,000 members.
I've gotten messages from people that said that it completely changed their life to see whales live for the first time.
It's tough to pinpoint what it is.
And for some reason, I'm just drawn to them. I just love to watch them.
Maybe it's a majestic magnetism, or maybe it's the mysteriousness of what lies below the marine surface. Whatever it is, Robin is in luck.
Oh, yeah, that was a big tail throw. Yeah, did you get it?
And you can bet she will continue to light up with every look.
If you are planning to visit Pacifica to see the whales, do be careful along the coast and the beaches, the cliffs there, as the ocean can have a strong undercurrent. It was a night of nostalgia and first-time honors for music's biggest names at the MTV Video Music Awards. Ricky Martin honored with the first ever Latin Icon Award, while Busta Rhymes took home the first Rock the Bells Visionary Award. Music icon Mariah Carey received her first ever Moon Man as this year's Video Vanguard. Ariana Grande won Video of the Year, and Lady Gaga, who had the most nominations with 12, won the night's first award, Artist of the Year, before booking it to Madison Square Garden for her Mayhem Ball tour. The show was hosted by rapper and actor LL Cool J, airing on CBS for the first time. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your First Alert forecast and another look at your top stories.